Right, so we'll create a project, I don't know, let's call this file opening or something like that. New project, make sure it's a Windows application. So let's call this file opening. Okay, so we've got our basic form. I'm not going to be concerned with tarting it up and making like nice titles and things. That's for you to worry about. Alright? Right, we want some way of displaying a file. Now, we don't know how big a file's going to be, so it's no good putting a label on the form. Okay? Because the label will fill up and then we won't be able to read it. So we want something that's got a scroll box. Now there's a brilliant control, so if we go to the toolbox, just lock that. We go to the toolbox, there's something called a rich text box, which effectively is like Notepad. So drag that so it sort of fills your form up. And it's what we call an intelligent control. If it ends up with too much content, it'll automatically turn a scroll bar on. Okay, so we're gonna use that. I'm not gonna rename anything, so everything's gonna have stupid names. Okay. The only thing we haven't got, we need some way for the user to interact with this form. Now I've just filled the form up with a text box, which isn't very good. So I'm just gonna drag it down a little bit so I can put a button in here. And then I'm going to drop a button onto my form. Okay. When I click that button, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let the user pick a file. So you're going to navigate to a file. You might have to create a text file to test this. And then once they've selected that file, we're going to display it. Okay. So nice little simple process. So let's all double click that button, which creates our standard click event. Right, we want to open a file. Now this is complicated. Right, the file could be anywhere. It could be on a USB stick, it could be on a web server somewhere. So we need a system that we don't have to worry about. Luckily, Microsoft have already created, as part of Visual Studio, a dialog box. And it's a dialog box that you've seen before because it's the one that all the programs use, the open file dialog. So we can create that. So we do that. If we say dim, we're going to create a local variable. We don't want to keep this, we're just going to create an open file dialog. So I'm going to call it opener. Okay, and we say as new, and then as we start typing open, when we get to F, open file dialog, you'll see that it creates something called open file dialog. And we're just going to select that. Okay. And then we can do a basic version of this and then we'll try and fix some problems. We're just going to say opener dot show dialog. Okay, so all we've got, let me just zoom that in a little bit, I'll get rid of my Solution Explorer. So we're creating this open file dialog, and we create it locally, so by the time we get down to this line, this end sub, that'll be destroyed, thrown away. It's local. Okay, we say show it. Let's just run our program and see what that does. So when you click the button, hopefully the open file dialog will come up. And that lets you navigate to anything that your Windows computer can navigate to. Okay? And you can find a file. Got loads of folders there. Let's find a file. And I can click on open. Doesn't do anything though. Okay? But the dialog works. So let's kill that. Everyone happy with that? Right. Once that's closed, we have now should be able to get access to the file name that's been displayed. Alright? And we can actually get the rich text box to load that file. So we can say, and it will be called rich text box 1 because it's not very imaginative when it makes these names up. And if I just double check, I think it's these are sort of things that I don't do often, so I can't remember. Oh, load file. Okay, so it's got a subroutine called load file, and that requires us to tell it what file we want to open. Okay. So we're going to tell it what the file name is. Now, opener should now have, hopefully, a file name. So we say opener.filename. So I'm saying, please open this file, and we need to tell it what type of text file it is. And the one we need to pick is the first one, which is plain text, which means it's like a notepad document. And then that's it. Yeah, just close it off. Okay, so 3 steps have gone on here. Created a dialog so that we can do this file dialog. We've activated it with show dialog, and then we hopefully are using the results from that dialog box to open a file and display it in the rich text box. Now you must do this with a text file. So if you want to quickly go into Notepad, okay, and just create a text file so you know it's going to work, and then save that file and then try and load it with your program. So I'm just going to see if mine works. I know a file that will work. And there you go, there's my text file. Okay, so there's mine, there's the one I picked. And it loads it and it displays it. Okay. There are a few issues with this. I can now make my program crash. So I'm not going to pick a file. If I click on cancel, it goes empty path. It's actually giving me quite a good error message there, empty path. Okay, we need to check that we clicked on OK. Alright, so I'm going to fix that. So I'm going to stop the program running, and I'm going to say this. I'm going to go up to this line, and this is how you always use these dialog boxes. I only want to carry on and do this bit if someone clicked on OK. And we can do this with an if. So we can say if, zoom that in a little bit more. And it actually gives me a result, because this is actually a function show dialog, because it tells me some information. And the information it's letting me pick between is what button was clicked. So I want the OK button. So I'm going to go down in that list and I'm going to say if when that was shown and closed, they clicked OK. Hang on, I'll come and have a look in a sec. Then do the. Oops, going the wrong way. Then do some code. So I only do the code here if the person clicked OK when the show dialog box was shown. Now the code I want to do is load my file into my rich text. So I'm going to cut and paste that. Okay, so I'm saying only attempt to do this load into the text box if they clicked OK. Very important. And what you'll find is if I close it with the X or I click cancel, it won't attempt to do that line because I didn't close it with OK. Okay, so just test that that works. So I'm just going to load up my dialog box and I'm just going to kill it. I'm just going to kill the window. And it hasn't attempted to do it. Very important. Okay, so that's the first step of loading up files. So I'll just stop that.